Hey you guys, I got a pretty wild story for you guys. So listen up, okay? Because it's important. All right. Yeah. Forgive me if I sound nasally. I have long COVID still. It's kind of a daily thing. And also look at my lip gloss. My lips are like popping. I just put on some chapstick and they look really shiny. Yeah, bear with me. I'm like a dry little raisin because of long COVID. So I have all the water, all the moisturizing, all the lotion. It helps, you know. And yeah, bear with me. And I can't believe I'm making this. Also because I have this stupid pimple on my nose, and I thought about waiting, but this is too important. I just want to get it out to the world, and start a conversation or two, and we'll see what happens. I just wanted to take this time and share some hard stuff I've been going through lately. I feel like I've been out of the loop for a lot of this time with my friends and my family, and I just want to get back into the loop. This is my way of kind of letting you know what I've been going through and like how much it's, you know, impacted me and changed me. I just want to share this because I don't think this kind of story is something that's heard very much or very often by people. It's not the kind of thing that I hear or I've stumbled upon on my own anyway. So yeah, bear with me as I go in vulnerably here and relay some pretty scary stuff, some spooky stuff that I went through, and I want to share that with you guys, okay? Yeah, and it goes back, this was in February. It was on Valentine's Day, believe it or not, and I had a Valentine's yoga session that day. And the day before that, it was okay, it was normal. And this particular yoga person was one that I had been with and done things with her before, and she does things, you know, outside of core power, and outside of the traditional American yoga space. And before, that was something I always appreciated about her classes. Is they seemed a bit more traditional, a bit more spiritual, and a bit more like more inspiring in some ways. And I appreciated that for the first couple times that I went there and did yoga with her. She did yoga. I had done it with her at a different space before. And she kind of moves all around. She's not really at one place. She just kind of bops around, kind of rents out a space, a studio here or there. And this particular time, in this particular one, it was a mansion that she rented out, a room in like the base level floor. I had my yoga stuff, my yoga clothes on. You know, my normal mode for yoga. I've done yoga for 10 years. My sister teaches yoga still, and it's not something I've ever like had any issues with ever. And so this was really surprising for me when I had a kind of spooky encounter. So bear with me. Yeah. So I remember getting there that day 6 months ago, and I got there with some of my friends, really good friends, loved ones, family, and they had their stuff. They were ready. We had done yoga all together before. We were a pretty tight group. Game nights, camping, sometimes, and yeah. So we showed up, and I remember us pulling up, and it was like a pretty cold Valentine's. It was like, it hadn't snowed yet, but I could tell the sun was already setting, even though it was pretty early. And I just remember getting there and to this new place, this new house, and for some reason, like as soon as she opened the door, I could tell this instructor was like, like there's something different about her. There was something kind of dark in her eyes, and I knew right away that she seemed a little off, compared to what she was like before. And that really startled me, but she just seemed really like dark, and I don't know how to describe it. I just kind of felt like this kind of darkness within this house, right out of the gate, and that really surprised me because I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting the normal yoga experience that I've had before, and so it was like a trip. It was a trip because it seemed like I was the only one who kind of noticed it, strangely. and I kind of looked around, got a feel for it. And my family and my friends were all about it. They didn't seem to notice, so I felt kind of pressured to go along with it, and I regret it in a lot of ways. I regret it, and I went inside. Very normal, kind of, hi, how you doing? How's it been? We put our yoga mats down, set it up, and I noticed right away that she has it's like candlelit, and she has all these instruments that she was gonna play. I believe she's a woman of color, so she has experience, and I kind of see her as someone who has genuine understanding of the yogic practices and the culture she was sharing and teaching. So I trust her on that front. And before talking with her, she always seemed down to earth. She never seemed like she had had any kind of darkness in her. And it was really hard, drastic change to kind of just act like everything was normal when it felt like a scary movie right out of the gate. And just sitting there with her, we sat on our mats, and she came around with tea that she infused energetically. I believe it was maca or matcha or cacao. It was cacao, I believe. Yeah, cacao tea that was energetically infused, and offered it to us. And then she came to us one by one and asked if she could enter our energy space and do work on that front. And my friends did it, and they seemed fine. And she came to me, and I instantly regretted it. She was like, "Can I enter your space?" And I said yes. And as soon as she put her hand on me, I could feel this evil thing enter me. I could feel this darkness just go right into me, and it felt cold, and it felt just terrifying and evil, and just horribly, drastically different than anything I've ever experienced, especially a yoga after 10 years. And it was really shocked me, and it really was rocking my world, and it just completely it really freaked me out. I just remember her touching me and feeling it go right into my chest like this. It's something entered into my body, and I just started freaking out. I was trying so hard to keep my cool at that point. I was trying so hard, and luckily the class was yin style yoga, so it was more just laying around anyway. But I remember trying to pray my way through it, and the reason I thought to pray was because a month earlier I had started reading the Bible and praying, the Christian Bible, and it was really, really helping me. It had really, really something was clicking for me. I realized the core of Christianity was something I had completely missed out on. I thought Christianity were these outer layers, of churchianity, as people say, and church culture. And I thought it was I thought the salvation experience was kind of just this vicarious salvation that I, kind of felt like I had watching others play on stage, and kind of vicariously feeling their salvation, kind of feeling the wonder and awe of God, and definitely having moments and retreats on top of mountains, and where you have a weekend where it's yeah, that was something else, and then you come back down to earth, and it's oh wait, then it kind of slips away from you. And I didn't realize that I could have that on the mountain feeling, the retreat feeling, until I started reading and praying. So it drastically changed me, completely out of left field. I wasn't looking for God in the Bible. I had already deconstructed years before, and it was only as a newlywed, a young husband with a family, that I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it right. I wanted to read the Bible for myself, because there were so many people with so many strong opinions of it, good or bad, and I was one of those. I had my own strong opinions before. I remember arguing for Christianity, against Jews on the early forums in 2006, 2007, and when I couldn't convert anyone that way, I was like, all right, maybe I shouldn't do this, and then, you know, get offline. And but you know, I had other church experiences. I went on retreats. I went on like a missions trip, and after coming back, I spent several years, a decade, not in church, not going to church, you know, deconstructing. I produced a documentary with my friend Dan and Andy, and it was called The Creation Liturgy, and it was about Michael Gungers, who was a famous worship singer, his path and his journey through deconstruction. That was what the documentary was about, and it definitely affected my outlook. And I think, you know, there are other things too. My dad passed away, and I didn't really have answers after that, but I also didn't cry out to God. I don't know why I didn't do that. I just kind of just turned off, and I would retreated inwardly, and into my own head. I got way I would overthink things, and you know, I couldn't think my way out of a paper bag, really. It was really hard to just have like a normal life for a long time, until like this year. It feels like my life is back, you know, and it's so cool. I just want to share it with everybody. And I know it's been really surprising for me, and also just everyone around me who knows me. They weren't expecting this from me either, you know. Like, where did this come from? What has happened to this guy? Not Jimmy, you know. It's like they lost me, like that died or something. But I've really come to life, you know, and really funny. And you know, I understand that there's a lot of confusion around my changes, because they have been really drastic, you know. And there's another part of the story too, you know, like dealing with my long COVID. I mentioned that earlier. When I wake up, you guys, I feel like a blob. I don't remember what I did the day before. I don't remember what I should be doing or what I planned to do the night before. It doesn't matter how much planning or what I set out to do. I felt like I was losing my memory, and it was really hard. Because I was trying to edit my 2 novels that I had written, and you need your memory to edit novels, I can tell you that. So it was pretty stressful for a while. It felt pretty like hopeless, you know, when you first get up and you're just like, I don't know how to edit. I can't edit today. I can't do this, you know. And knowing what I have before me, knowing, you know, the journey before me, but not being able to do it, that was really hard for me. And another pressure point, another kind of motivator, catalyst to get me out of my comfort zone, out of my head. I think that was what every morning, you know, because I have this every morning. So I wake up and I have this fog, and when I pray and read the Bible, my brain fog goes away. It's like a little mini miracle. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but like, long COVID is real, and I'm part of like a support group, and a lot of them in that group, they get, you know, they feel proud if they can make it to the mailbox that day and get out of bed, because they feel depressed. It's considered a disability. And the only reason that it's different with me, and you know, as compared to others, is that I pray in the morning, and when I don't pray, like the fog persists, and it's like, it's not like I'm, you know, doing this mental trick on me. Like I'm literally, like I can feel the healing energy clearing through my mind like never before, you know. And it's just amazing, you know, what happens during I'm praying, during prayer, and after. It's just amazing. I can feel it right away, and it's something I've really come to rely on, you know, because of my editing process. And I've gotten back into editing. I haven't really like had to miss out too much on job stuff or other life stuff or other opportunities. I'm like, you know, in the process of starting my own business. I just launched my website, you know, and I feel like I have a new fire and a new kind of spirit in me that just kind of came out of nowhere, and I think it's taken a lot of people by surprise. And I just want to assure you guys that, you know, like, I'm not crazy, like, not yet anyway. But you know, this is just, you know, par for the course when you read the Bible. Like, if you look up, you know, testimonies of Christians who kind of really search for the Bible, surrender their own, you know, understanding. Like, just go out there and ask God, is this true? Is this real? Like, you're saying this is real? or you just go out there open. You can go out there skeptical, because I did. I was deconstructing. I was reading the Bible to kind of in a kind of post-mortem effort. I was like kind of seeing like, oh, this was my childhood faith. It turned out it was a dead lie. So let me parse through it as I write this book about coming of age as a Christian in America, which the first half of that book is deconstructing my faith and realizing that there's a lot of hypocrites and a lot of bad examples of church culture out there. And then the second half of the book is more an exploration of how can I reconcile this faith. What redeemable aspects were there, of my upbringing? That was what I went into the, reading the Bible with. Like, I considered it as like a done deal. I thought I had already tried Christianity and it didn't work. And so when I went to the Bible, because I was genuinely wanting to know the truth, I think God respected that. I think that in a lot of ways, sorry, sun's shining in my eyes now. I think that God respected and kind. He was like, oh, you want to know the truth now? Here you go. Yeah. And I could feel the book come alive to me, you guys, and the words jump off the page, and it's all text. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's real, you guys. It's real, and it's living, and it is true. And I totally missed it. I totally missed the core of Christianity my whole life, and I grew up in church culture with a lot of really wonderful, wise people. But other people's wisdom can't save you. You gotta just surrender it. I had to just surrender, and every day I have to surrender because of my brain fog. And I almost like having long COVID, because it forces me to rely on God in a way that I've never, thought of. I would never have thought to do this if I didn't have long COVID. It's completely related. So anyway, like, as I've been exploring this new, this really unexpected change, plot twist, so to speak, in this story, I continued to live my life as I did before. I was trying to still do the yoga thing and trying to do the other stuff, and what was strange is, in the Bible it talks about, like, I was blind and now I see. That's the thing that I think most people can, understand when it comes to Christianity. And I feel like my blinders were taken off, and I feel like, oh, I can see now. And in some ways at the yoga class, seeing was actually pretty scary. And I still wasn't expecting it. I thought maybe it was more of like an exercise with like a nice aesthetics, but it wasn't that, you guys. It wasn't just aesthetics. It was spiritual. It really was. I felt like I was possessed, and I think the reason that it was different at that yoga class at that time was because I had started praying and realizing the truth of the Bible, and the Holy Spirit was already kind of indwelling in me and kind of changing me from the inside out. I was going through my goo phase, like on a chrysalis, like a little caterpillar becoming a butterfly. And in my goo phase, I was still kind of learning like the ropes of, wow, so if this is real, then, what does that mean for this, and this? Like, my whole life was called into questions. Like, what does it mean for yoga? Let's go see, And I went in like innocent. I went in expecting just kind of have a nice, a straightforward time like we did before, like I'd done plenty of other times. And I think because her intention with this class was to reach out, spiritually, and to contact the spirits that before were fine with me, doing that, participating in her experience, they turned on me. And if you follow like the kind of new age yoga rules, like, spirits they shouldn't, turn on each other. They're all kind of created out of God's image. They're all part of God's love. It's all about, love, and there's no possible way for darkness or evil spirits to exist and be combative and everything. But I can tell you, evil does exist, you guys. I felt that kind of cold, hellish fear, and I'll never forget it. I remember talking about this recently in therapy, getting emotional, getting personal, maybe TMI, but talking about it in therapy, and a counselor asked us, like, he could tell like there was something on my heart still that I hadn't shared, and it had been months and months already, and so, you know, the memory in her mind and my friend's mind was pretty fuzzy, because it had been so long, and it didn't really stand out to them as a notable thing for them to remember, you know. But for me, I still remember how that felt, that room felt. I remember the wood floors, and I remember, just the details of it. And I could tell, like, as I was finally sharing that with people, with someone recently who was there, like, it finally registered with them, like, what I meant and what I was doing, what I was going through a little bit more, which was cool, because for months it just kind of seemed like I had just lost my marbles, and I, you know, just suddenly was scared of yoga all of a sudden, and you know, I just kind of feel like the yoga spirits, I mean, I went in with good intentions. I went in thinking I'm gonna, you know, have a good peaceful time like I usually do, and it didn't matter what my intentions were. Because I know some people would say, like, well, if you're expecting, you know, something terrible to happen, then you kind of manifested it. But it was like, no, I wasn't expecting something terrible to happen. I was totally like experimenting it like in an innocent way. I was like, okay, everything is new to me. Let's try yoga again. What's that like now? And you know, I think because it was more traditional, and because she had the energetically infused stuff and like the music, and it was like her whole goal was to make contact with the spiritual world, and that to me is what, you know, crossed the line in hindsight. Like, I think it would be better to do yoga if you're going to do it like at core power, you know, or just don't do it at all, because that's more of an exercise. But she wanted more of a spiritual experience. And so I just was, you know, I was innocently going along with it. I didn't come in antagonistically, and I think my friends could tell afterwards that I was kind of off. But during, they didn't sense that I was like, you know, anxious or whatever. It was kind of another normal kind of, a little, you know, bit odd. I mean, they kind of seemed like it was a bit odd. And I remember getting in my friend's car, a car that I had ridden in, like, you know, so much of in my life as an adult, and it's sitting in the same seat and just feeling like not myself. I was like, there's something else in this car with me. There's something else in my body, and I could feel the cold still. And we had a plan to go have a movie night on Valentine's after that. But I had to say, like, you know, like, I can't do that. I mean, I did ask them, I said, was that kind of like in the car afterwards? Was that kind of dark for you? And they were like, no. Like, what do you mean? And you know, it kind of put me off, and I was like, okay, if it wasn't dark for you, then I need to go figure myself out, because I feel like I'm possessed and I don't know what to do about it. So, oh man, it was literally like a horror story, like horror. Like, I can't watch scary movies anymore, because that stuff is too real now. It is real. So anyway, beside the point. Yeah, so we went back to, you know, where we dropped off, drove me back to my car, and I just tried to go for a drive, and see how I felt in the car. I do door dashing on the side as a gig, and a little side gig, and I was like, I'll just try, you know, maybe I'll try doing getting an order and see how that feels. And it was the worst order ever. You know, it was literally the worst night of my life, you guys. It was the worst night of my life. It was so scary. I felt so separated from like a kind of like love, light, and source of truth, and just separated from like everything good, and for like the whole night. And so I had to call it after going to one order, this ice cream place, like a blizzard came on, and I white out conditions. I couldn't even see the road, and I got in a fight with the worker, and it was like something I don't really get in door dashing. I understand that, you know, they're doing all the hard work. You know, I'm not gonna rush them. I'm not gonna make them feel bad for not having it ready. That's not really how I do it, you know. And I'm friends with a lot of them, and so it was really weird when I felt like this new, aspect of myself come out. I felt like I just wanted to fight with him, and I was like, oh, you can't like let me use the bathroom, like, I hate you. And I just left. I just canceled that order. I immediately knew that I couldn't dash. I couldn't do anything. And I went back to my apartment alone, and I just prayed. I just kept praying, and eventually like it started to release, but that night was just horrible. Horrible. Yeah, just horrible. And yeah, bear with me. So cut to like me now. I've since researched some of this stuff a little bit more and come to realize I was maybe a little naive, thinking that all spirits could be trusted at face value, and thinking that all spirits would be okay with the one true spirit, which is the Holy Spirit. And it's just, it's been a big learning curve, steep learning curve over the last 10 months of me reading the Bible, because that's when it all started 10 months ago when I started reading the Bible and praying, and it just slowly started changing in me. And now it's like I can't help it, and sometimes, like I think at first I felt like I had to prove to my friends it was real, and I had to like show them, oh, see, this person had the same kind of experience at yoga, and this, it's not all, not all spirits are created equal, and like not all spiritual experiences can be trusted at face value. Like there's inherent validation within the Bible, because there's like dozens of prophets who all verify the others. They like, one of them will say, I can see, prophesy another prophet coming. He's gonna like, take the work, take the ball down the field a little bit more, and then that one will do that for a time, and then like, it's like there's all these different prophets kind of prophesying the same truth, and all kind of, like the Bible is greater than the sum of its parts, and there's a lot of parts to it. And I find that yoga and spiritual experiences are often just one-off encounters, one-off experiences, or just one prophet's experience and one prophet's supposed truth, and it's never like, oh well, how can we verify this? In the Bible it says, it's so clear, like you have to test every spirit, and I wish I knew that before, but it's really clear. Test every spirit. Don't trust anything. It says it over and over again, like test all the spirits. Like if you feel like, I think I had a spiritual encounter and it's telling me to invest in Bitcoin, like don't do that. Like just go read your Bible, pray about it before you just run, just jump off a cliff on a leap of faith and thinking that you're gonna dive into like an ocean of money or something. And like life, it doesn't work that way. But also keep in mind that spirits are deceptive. They don't just want you they don't just want you to do whatever feels like, they don't want you to be good. They get, and there's an energy exchange that happens between worshipers and man and spirit, like, and they get something out of it. They get something out of tricking you, and a lot of them are fallen. A lot of them are understand the nature of our souls and spirits better than we do, because we're stuck on earth in our bodies, and you can't wade into that kind of territory where the spirits, and just fundamentally have the advantage, the territorial advantage, the higher ground or whatever. You don't go after spirits that have higher. Don't go out there and like think you can contact a spirit with like a Ouija board or a crystal and think that it's gonna answer you truthfully, because it knows everything. It's disembodied, it's kind of outside of time. It can kind of see things a little bit ahead of the in the future, and it's a little woo. I know it sounds woo, but I'm telling you, it's real. Like spirituality is real. I was an atheist for a long time after deconstructing. I was a Planetary Society member with my friend Dan, card-holding guys of science, and I'm still a man of science. I still think science is one aspect of God's, one aspect of man's uncovering of God's truth. That's what I see now. All truth is God's truth, including science, and there's not inherent conflict. Like, our great institutions were created by Christians anyway, like Yale, Harvard. They were created with the endeavor to uncover the truth that was God's truth, and now that those Christian origins have been forgotten, it's okay. Like, we'll come back around, and I just kind of got caught up thinking that I had to choose between science and faith, and that wasn't true either. That was another piece of my story, you guys. So thank you for bearing with me as I go off on tangents and explain things and how I got here, because I know this sounds woo, I know it sounds whack, and anyone who seemed too certain, I would immediately pull back on it. I would immediately go, like, can't be trustworthy. You know, like they're probably brainwashed and or whatever. But like I have been brainwashed. It's not a result of me going to a church or being led or being coached by anyone else. It's just been my own journey into the Word and into the spiritual world in a way, and you know, praying and all on my own in my little secret space. That's what it's all about. I've discovered. It's not even about church. It's not even about going on retreats or making a big show of loving God or whatever. In fact, sometimes when I was in church, I was too aware of what other people saw of me. I was too in my own head thinking, oh, well, you know, like I have to I have to say this thing, do this, you know, act this kind of way, say this kind of thing, and that'll get me, you know, maybe a girlfriend or some gigs here, this church, and like I can get in with these people, but that was false faith. That wasn't real, and I didn't realize it until this year. Yeah, like reading the Bible on my own. I haven't been guided, but I have been like doing more of a deep dive, because before I would just kind of pick and choose verses. I would hear verses here and there, but I never really read the Bible book to book, you know, on my own. And I just did it, you know, through the New Testament, and it's completely changed me, and I still read it every morning. It's like I have to do it, or I get long COVID symptoms. Like I don't really have a choice. So, you know, anyway, I just want to catch you guys up and just let you guys know that God is real. The Bible is powerful. You don't have to tell anyone that you're reading it. You don't have to argue or you know, or have anyone else's, you know, kind of faith. Like God doesn't want, you know, copycats or duplicates. He wants you. He wants you just to surrender. He's always there. It's like a Wi-Fi signal that can always come. But we can't just trust all spirits that come over that signal. We have to look at the Word, because the Word warns us that spirits are not trustworthy, right? So yeah, thank you for listening to me ramble on here. I'm trying to think about anything else I want to share with you guys, and that I've got you here. Yeah. Well, I think like I just want to, you know, I really miss a lot of these people in my life, because after this happened, I think a lot of them couldn't understand or relate to me. And I just want to explain so that at least they can understand, even if they don't accept it. It's fine. I don't expect everyone to have the same experience or draw the same conclusions, you know. I just challenge everyone to read the Bible, because it is the gold standard. And as I've been reading and researching for my other books, like I went into it expecting to slam dunk on Christianity, but you know, the Bible came alive to me. It wasn't a dead thing. Yeah, you know, the post-mortem idea was false. It wasn't true, and you know, that was humbling. It's been humbling, very humbling, and every day I try to humble myself in prayer, and that's been the key too. And you know, it's funny because I feel like I've never felt so rich, you know, even though I'm like poor in a lot of ways and still struggling, and like a lot of people, I've never felt so rich in my soul and my spirit, and everything is lining up, and all these other things are just like coming together. And like, you know, you still have to do the work, you still have to wake up. Like God isn't going to do it for you, but there's no way I could do any of this stuff without God. No way. And I have since like realized like I'm like a much better and much quicker, more efficient editor as a Christian now. I can write like and edit like so much more thoroughly and with more vision, more clarity. I think before I would get kind of in my head too much. It was hard to do anything alone. You know, I couldn't, after overwriting my books and then like, oh, I really need to edit these down. Like that was a humbling moment too, realizing I didn't even know what I would, you know, what truth I would create if I had the ability to be a God. And it was like it made me realize like I'm not cut out to be God. I'm not cut out to make my own Bible or my own rules. I'm not cut out for that. And so that was humbling too, you know. And so I'm just gonna keep studying the Word and keep keep editing, keep getting into more business stuff, and taking classes and reading a lot. Still reading like every day and editing every day and getting up earlier and earlier and going to the gym. That also really helps. In a lot of ways, I feel like better than ever, but at the same time, I feel more misunderstood than ever. I feel really like people don't just get what's going on with me, you know? And I think words on screen sometimes are limited, even pictures too. So I just want to take this time to share it, and you guys can, you know, take it or leave it. And if you're curious more, and because I did a deep dive into some stuff. I watched near-death experiences that also verified the hellish fear that I went through, and people went through some really, really, you know, intense, dark stuff like me, and there's so many stories like that. The algorithm doesn't show you what you don't already believe, you know. It just, you know, helps you, you know, compound more of what your own belief is, you know, your selection bias, confirmation bias. That becomes an issue. So keep that in mind. Like, there are thousands of stories like this out there, and I didn't even realize, and there's more every day. So go out there and look it up. And if you want, if you don't really feel like a deep dive is, you know, in your repertoire or whatever, like I made a video called Snorkeling, and it's all about just you know, you don't have to deep dive. You can snorkel. You can kind of get a little taste, a little preview of what I'm talking about, and I'd love to share it with you guys. It's like a 2-part kind of thing, but I just put it all in one video on YouTube, and I can share it and upload it, and I'd love to know what you guys think, because it's a very crucial, important video, I think. And I think like these kinds of stories are really crucial and important, because most people, at least a lot of my friends and I, didn't hear about this kind of thing, and it completely, you know, caught us out of left field and out of the blue. And so yeah, thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for being patient with me as I've learned how to live in this new body, in this new spirit. And I say that, you know, I say this with revivified faith and vitality, and just hopefulness and love and peace and joy and all the fruits of the Spirit growing in me every day, that I'm trying to, you know, hone into and lean into, and just ask. If you ask and you shall receive, you know. And so yeah, ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door will be open to you. Just a little knock, you know. Just open the door, and it'll change everything for you. It'll make you a better version of you than you even realize you could be. That's what I feel like. And even though I feel misunderstood, that's okay. I still love you guys. I just wanted you guys to hear it from the horse's mouth here. Just wanted you to hear it from me, and that's it. Bye.